Yes. It's me once again. Michael Kemadi or MK if you want. I'm your host at Africa's Talking Podcast, known as Retold, and Impact Masters Podcast, bringing you movers and shakers in tech. And today, we're still in Kigali, Rwanda, a country of a dozen hills and many more: digital economy, progressive mindsets, focus on youth, among as many other than leadership of this country is doing. And today we're just highlighting about tech ecosystem here in relation to Africa's Talking. Anytime you think about Rwanda, do you think about Arsenal? Or what comes into your mind? Is it cleanliness? Is it tidy streets? Security? And there is much more that is coming across the country. So look out for Kigali, Rwanda. There's a new airport coming up, I see. And as I was walking around, I saw some stadia being created or built someplace, I don't know, Remera or something.
Yeah.
Infrastructure
coming up.
Yeah. No, amongst many other things that are happening in Kigali, one of them is that the people are really good people. Don't take my word for it. Just make a point of visiting Kigali, Rwanda, once in a while and see what is happening, because it's an exemplary country to be in Africa. So if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so. This podcast is available in all podcast channels across the world: iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and your favorite podcasts. And today we are blessed to have one man, the man himself, Robert Tumaini. Robert is fond of using his skills like operations management, data analysis, business development, and research to run organizations and businesses' activity into measurable successes, results and action-oriented or driven, environment adapter, continuous skills and knowledge builder, always learning, execution, international business learner, data analyzer, project manager, business strategist, and growth hacker. An alumni of African Leadership University. Actually, this is where we are. If you're watching our video, this is Africa Leadership University, located at Innovation Economic Zone, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Innovation City.
Yeah, so we're surrounded by industries here, so you're learning by doing once in a while.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how are you, Robert?
I'm more than fine, eh?
Yeah.
I'm beyond fine.
Yeah, you look fine, man. How is it going?
Hey, the introduction was about to make me faint. I thought I'm sitting beside some other Robert or something. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, Robert, here we just tell the African stories, especially guys who are in tech and what they are doing around Africa.
Right.
And what drives this conversation is because our story has not been told for some time. If it's told, it's not told the right way.
Right.
So we always start by, get to knowing who you are. Not what I've just read. What I've just read is just for, looks more, but it doesn't represent who is Robert. So Robert, where did you start?
But I can start, talking about probably my professional journey.
You'll have all the time to talk about that. But where did you start?
Where did I start?
Yeah.
So as an individual, as a person,
who beyond the professional.
Right.
Where did you start?
So you're really getting to know me, basically.
Right.
well, I'm Robert Tumaini, and my parents gave birth to me here in the middle of the town in Kigali, in a place called Muhima.
Muhima, huh?
Yeah. It's in a district called Majerajiri. And but I grew up in a place called Majerajiri. It's the rural part of Kigali, the rural part of the district. And my childhood was fun. I was what you could call a quiet kid, but that gave me time to observe things and get to start early to get with what you'd call academia early. But I enjoyed my lifestyle, and from there I went to school like any regular kid.
Yes.
And I'm here today. I've gone to schools. Now I'm with the best in the game.
Robert, this is not your problem alone, and I've seen it with so many guests that I've hosted in that city. One of the things that I see them do is just brush off life. But I'm a believer of that any person you meet their later stage in life or at any point in life, they are shaped by experiences of growing up.
Exactly.
And that's the most important thing. Also, something else I've realized that so many people actually learn from the journey, not the destination. And given these stories that you're telling here is to ensure that we show it's possible, it's doable, it can be done, and you're doing it. Exactly. And not from the motivational side of things. It's just from the point of reality. That's why we tell it raw, right? Unscripted raw. So if you don't mind, you can tell me where you go to school.
Right.
How was that like? And your experience as Robert.
Right. So usually I would say the traits I have as a human being at the moment, I obtained these ones at the very early age when I was still young. I was living with my mother in the area I just mentioned earlier called Majerajiri, which is the rural area, the rural part of the Nyarujenje district. Which is
it's not far away from here, right?
No, it's about like 13 or 40 miles away. Like a 40-minute drive from here.
Okay.
And it was a fun experience, I would say, because, to me, I knew what I liked at a very young age, which might be the correct things that I liked or might not. You would say, depending on a personal preference.
True.
But, growing up, I was a kid that loved for example, reading, right? So I used to interact with other kids. I'll tell them stories that I've gotten from books, small books that my mom would buy for me on her way back to home from job. And that shaped my love of being in the know, basically. Loving to know what's going on. Which is where the love of tech sort of built up, because I from reading a lot, you start picking interest, in different particular aspects of the reading that you enjoy the most. So from there, I kept enticing myself.
So at what age did you start reading?
I would say, so this is funny story that my mom usually tells people, but I'm not sure if it's really true. But, so she usually says that I started writing people's the people that were living in our household and their names. I started spelling them as early as I was 4
years old.
So I'm not sure if that's really correct, but let's go with that. So but from there, but what I remember about myself accurately is that I used to like to experiment with things, right? So for example, if I hear something new that I don't know, I would ask a lot of questions, maybe too many questions, just to explore and find out more. And from there, that's why I built up some passion and about different things though. So I loved music. Why? Because I used to use it as a tool to sort of give myself more information.
Okay.
And other people might have different media to acquire new information to their lives. And for me, I loved, content, like reading books, like I mentioned, and movies.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, as young as I wasn't really understanding what was going on in the stories.
Yeah.
Because I was too young to connect.
Yeah.
To understand what was really going on.
Yeah.
But basically, yes, I used those tools to sort of connect to the real world.
Yeah.
But of course, they were too sort of broad for me at my age. But I could pick a few things. Okay. So from there, people used to joke with me, like my aunt. Hey, Robert, you know too much. Please, take it bit by bit.
Okay.
You don't need to know that Russia is fighting with Afghanistan or something. See, please, you are 7.
Yeah.
Take things more slowly, and take small bits that you can be able to handle. And from there, so I.
But did you listen?
Of course not. But they didn't like it. But later, it showed its own benefits. Being able to love, knowing what's going on, and growing interest in tech, because those are the books I started reading when I went to high school. To it's the same area actually. Basically, I just graduated from high school, from primary school. I moved across the road to the school that was there. I would actually look at it through the window, and I was like, hey, so these are, the other kids are, being driven to other districts, and I'm here.
Yeah.
Just you graduate from here, and you just cross the road to the other school across the road, on the other side. I'm like, hey, this is unique.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. From there as well, I started picking some new information.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the first time I sat in a high school class.
Hey, you went in primary school the same place?
Yes, basically.
From home to the primary school?
Yes. So
basically it was just in the neighborhood?
Yes, it was in the neighborhood. My home, my primary school, and my high school was in the same neighborhood. Not 5 miles of radius, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so there's something I wanted to ask about. What was like the day-to-day activities in that area, or is still the same daily activities today?
You mean for me as Robert, or maybe for the regular community there?
Yeah, because I know most people do farming around Rwanda, right?
Yes.
The people who do tea farming.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So
what was it like in that?
So the tea farming, so that's cash crops, kaka.
That's not farming. That's cash crop.
I'm telling
farming.
You, people are making millions from that. But yes, so farming is really, is what built Rwanda to where it is. Of course, plus other activities, that you've been able to read or hear about, like tourism and other things. But yes, we did farming, of course.
Yeah.
We are very, the average family basically in Rwanda. They do that. And we were not different. And from there, but in the area where I was, there was a mixture of, small trade. Like, you'd have like a shop, like a small restaurant, with affordable food meals that, the average individual can afford.
Yeah.
And also like a small pop-up shop in the neighborhood. Yeah, you'd sell sugar, flour, things like those, just to make ends meet and stuff like that. But we're happy.
Okay.
It was a community in Rwanda, I'm sure you've been able to experience around, but family and community is something that is very, very promoted, and we make sure that we take care of that. And I've been able to observe that from my young age. Yes, but so if I talk about the daily activities, basically, or what the daily routines were, usually as kids, the kids, me and the other fellow kids that we were growing together with. Usually, all we did was go to school. Yeah. After that, we'd come back to our homes, and we help out with the home errands and other house activities, basically cooking, if you are old enough to be able to handle that. Yeah. Washing your uniform, making sure these things that as early as you can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically the regular kids things. But sometimes you'd have a hobby like maybe playing football with your friends, riding a bike, you know.
You sound like you're more in town than
Hey, kaka, you know.
than in the village.
No, it was actually
Because what I know about the African village.
yeah. So the village wasn't like too much of a village, if you will. But you know, it was a mixture because there were people migrating from the middle of the city, from middle of Kigali to like other collective areas there, you know, where they would like build similar houses in the lines. Here we call them umudugudu, where people are in sort of, you know, collected area and they are living next door to each other so that, you know, different infrastructure and other means could reach them easily.
Please talk more about that because if you come to Kigali, even where I am right now, you can see even the way structures are built are more concentrated in specific places.
Yes.
Is that like the culture way of building?
You would say it's more of a culture and also intentional promotion because, you know, in Rwanda we since you know, few years back, we had to use what we had.
Okay.
And the only way to achieve that was to join our hands and to match our efforts. And people understood this really quickly. And one of the ways to sort of get the neighborhoods developed as quickly as we can, but also efficiently, not rushing things too quickly, was to be next to each other. There are benefits to that, kaka. You know, people, if you near, you know, each other, you can be able, if you're living beside each other, you can be able to facilitate each other in different aspects
just
of life.
the way it is. If you run out of salt, you can knock to your neighbor's door.
Yeah, exactly.
If maybe your cooking oil is done and maybe you forgot to go to shopping, or you know you don't have the means to go to shopping.
Yeah, you'd be like,
can borrow.
Yeah, you'd be like, Robert, you know, my matchbox is not, you know, it's not handling my work. Please let me use it. Something like that. So we have this thing. We usually joke, you know, in Kinyarwanda that, hey, you know, which means like usually we lend salt to each other basically.
Say that again.
Just gusabana umunyu, which is like sharing like salt, which is just like you know, an implication for another meaning, which is like, you know, we are here for each other. You know, you won't be left out to dry, you know, with me here. I got you. Things like that, basically. So yeah, it was a very good experience to be in as a kid because it formed the attitudes that you grew up with. And it would shape you as a human being that we are at the moment. And we grew up to be decent individuals, if you will. You know? So because we had role models around us, our families, our parents, our elder brothers and sisters, you know, things like that. Yeah. So I would say it was the average African kid childhood. Yeah. So nothing too special. Yeah, but it always depended on your choices of life. Of course, sometimes you do things that are not very welcomed.
So what did you do?
Hey, kaka. So as a kid, you could do things. But for me, I didn't do things that are really extreme.
It's all right. What is that one thing that you did?
Okay.
Now that you're talking about it, that you remember vividly, that got you a beating. I don't know if you got a beating when you were growing up.
Hey, kaka. I'm an African child.
So discipline is a must.
Yes.
It's enforced ruthlessly.
I won't say ruthlessly because, you know, it's what we call tough love. You know, so I grew up with a single mother. I lost my dad when I was very young. Yeah. You know, so young that I don't even remember, you know, most of the experiences I had with him. Yeah. So I was there with my mom. So and my mom, you know, wasn't affluent enough to be just around there. Yeah. You know, she had to hustle around, and she would move around the country, not to be near. So I was at home usually with my grandma. Oh. So usually, and the grandma that I had is not the one that usually, hey baby, you know, hey, yeah, please, this food, yeah, please, what do you need? I know she's like, hey, please, you'll eat this food after you've worked for it. So yeah, we would go and fetch water. Yeah. In small jerry cans, and from there, we'd wash the dishes. After then, we'd prepare food to cook, and you'd sweep the house.
So you learn to be responsible at early stage.
Exactly. Of course, we were not starving. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But she made sure we knew what we were doing. We knew what reality was as early as it could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so really, nothing too extreme that I did that got me the beatings. Just the regular mistakes of kids. Going to school and coming home late. Too much football, and you'd think, hey, I'm Messi, but really, nah, really, But yeah, we were enjoying life, kaka. So, but also we had these things we called BA. So there's this small circular, sort of, how do I say this? So they're sort of transparent, and they are small, and we used to sort of use them to kick each other, like we'd kick and. So those things.
Yeah. They're still there. I can't recall the name, but even when I was growing up, we used to.
Yeah.
We used to give we used to call them gololi in Swahili.
Gololi.
Or biligoli in like
right.
What do you like lugha ya mtaa. Like yes,
lugha ya mtaa. Hey. So that sounds cool.
I mean that's Swahili, meaning that it's a slang.
It's a slang. Yeah. It's like an idiom to something else.
See, from Gololi, we call them Bilgoli.
Bilgoli.
Or Banta.
So you say that, it sounds badass, but whatever.
Yeah. No, people used to like hit them. We used to use our I think second finger from the right.
Oh.
And it could crack. There are guys who are really good. They could aim from far, and when they hit it just cracks.
So for us, we had some terms like you'd stand and you'd bend your other shoulder, but you'd stand and you'd like sort of bend your thumb.
Okay.
And the object would be in the middle of
like
this
giving
knuckle.
it a kick, right?
Yes, and like this, and you shoot it with so much speed. And if you kick the other, they would say you've done what we call danje. Danje, which is like danger based. I don't
something
know
really cool.
I don't know what the logic was in this naming, but it was nice. It was nice, and we had fun doing this. And we had what we call dogoma. Dogoma. So that's why we'd line them like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And each player would line their own there.
Yeah.
And the more you kick out of that small rectangular thing, you'd keep them, which means you've gained another beer, and you would have the king of the crew who had the most. So we'd carry around our socks and would stuff all those gained. We would call them we'd call them inga, which means a cow, but which usually it's just a member of those other objects that we had, so.
So if someone like hit the other, I don't know what to call them, but they're made of glass.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
Sort of transparent with the little colors inside.
So where we used to buy them is from these Indians. I think they used to import them from some place in India.
Right.
And I actually never knew how they were made until a week ago, for your information.
Hey,
I saw the process and it's quite manual, quite wakali.
Enlighten me, because
So what they do, they break down the broken glasses.
Literal glasses.
Just the normal bottles, whatever. And then they collect those glasses, they pour them in a furnace where it's burnt until it's liquid. So that solution is poured through a small tunnel that ships or limits the flow.
Right. So that is slower.
Yeah. So where it goes, there is a mechanized limiter that cuts certain amount of that solution as it goes down to 2 big ion, which have cylindrical kind of spiral kind of stuff.
Right.
So once it goes there, that's what now shapes it.
Or into a circular form.
Perfect circle actually.
Right.
But in this solution where it's just pouring, that's where now they add the color. So they actually literally add the color. It's quite a fascinating engineering process.
Yeah, because sometimes they would like add like a very special, like a very particular shape, and you see that it was intentional. It wasn't like something random. Like they would draw like a chicken or something.
Yeah,
like a face of someone.
So that's how they do it. It's more of an artistic and also engineering process. I have a video actually I can share with you. I saw this on TikTok actually.
Beautiful.
And it was one of those moments I was like, wow. And it doesn't look like fancy engineering process.
Yeah.
It was done by Indians. I don't know if Chinese do it or other people do it, but these particular people were doing it.
Yeah.
And what actually fascinated me, the person who was pouring the glass into the furnace was a lady.
Okay, I wouldn't have imagined that, to be honest with you.
It was the same thing for me.
Hey.
So I'll show you the video after the podcast.
So you're saying some of these things are still, favorable to kids still this time as well.
I mean, kids are kids, and I don't know if that video was recorded recently, but what actually I learned from that process that if you're really willing to do some of this stuff, it doesn't matter your gender and stuff. That's the point.
Exactly.
It's just a matter of, can you really, can you show up for the position?
Right.
Yeah. But we'll get to know to that later.
Right.
So, Robert, you had a really nice childhood. So you transitioned to high school. Did you perform well in primary school?
Hey, Kaka. That's what I wanted to tell you like a few minutes ago. So the first day I sat in a high school class, I would call it a unique experience for me.
Yeah.
Because the first thing I saw when I entered the class. So here's the thing. I went to school. I was not in a boarding school. No, the school was boarding, but for me, I was a day student. So I would go home after all the classes are done. So one day. So we spent like a whole week, doing discovery. They're onboarding us, showing us what the teachers are doing, who they are, to know their names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then one day I come back to school, and they have started, learning a few things, and they are drawing things.
Were you late?
No, I wasn't. But you see, like we used to have these the teachers. They would give one of the smartest kids in the class, they would give them their book of notes that you needed to take. Then they would go in front. Yes, they would write for others. The ones with the most beautiful handwriting that you can see.
You use chalk?
Yes, chalk.
Okay.
It was, they couldn't give it to me because the letter T. One of the teachers told me it was like a guy who's removing
Tipping
a hat.
their hat.
Hey, I still remember that.
It was that bad.
Hey, Kaka. Now, see, now I'm thanking God because, I'm using a laptop and stuff. Things are improving.
There's no hassle.
If you give me a pen now, hey, you'll be praying for me after this. So, So I went there and the notes were there. So we had to start writing. But the terms, the first thing I saw was the title of the program, the title of the lesson. And it was chemistry. If I tell you how I pronounced it, you'd faint, Kaka.
Did someone ask you to pronounce it?
No, but I was trying because you see, I grew up trying to interact with things, trying to engage, trying to understand things, and it always bothered me when I didn't understand what a word meant. So let me tell you one example. When I was younger, just to bring it back to the childhood, we had a small shop, and we had these sort of a yeast that we used to put in either in donuts or these sorghum beers. And it was called Pakimaya. And in Rwanda, we have what we call ebihekane, which is usually a combination of different consonants, which pronounce a certain tone or a certain note when you're saying when you're saying things. Like for example, if you connect N and S, it's called ants. Like you'd pronounce it as. Like for example, if you say insina, so you see we have INSINA. So the combination of those two consonants without a vowel at the end. So those are what we call ebihekane. So I was sitting there looking at this package of this yeast, and it had So I was so young. I was like 3 or 4. I don't know. I was still very young before I even started primary school. So listen, I was fuming out of my ears. I was like, so how do you pronounce Pakmaya, but it's PAKM? Who puts a K before an M? So I was fighting myself. After like a week of losing like five kilograms. I asked my mom, Mama, what is this?
Yeah.
She's like, no, this is not Kinyarwanda. Hey, from there I was relieved. I was like, hey, so you see, like it bothered me to a point I had to ask.